What is going on, Amazon sellers? Happy Wednesday and happy first day of Q4. Welcome back to the weekly Amazon Q&A show where we share some e-commerce news, some stats, the occasional business maxim, and of course, we're here to answer any and all of your questions about selling on Amazon. So if you've got a question about retail arbitrage, perhaps you want to dive into online arbitrage, maybe you want to get into wholesale, or you've just got a Keepa quandary. Well, drop that in the chat. And sorry about the dog. Will help you. For those of you who may be new here, I'm Chris Grant, and to my right is my incarnational co-host, Chris Rasick. Chris, how's Wednesday treating you, man?
Wednesday's pretty good. Incarnational. Are we getting a little bit spiritual now? Is that the part of the thesaurus that we've ventured into?
We have made it to the religious section of the thesaurus. Yes.
All right, that's all right. Q4, I guess, apropos of Q4. Wednesday is good. Yeah, it's doesn't feel like the first day of Q4 yet. I don't know if that's like because I was already, kind of focused for a while, or is it weird that it's on a Wednesday right in the middle of the week? Or
That's a good question. I'm not feeling it yet either. Maybe for me, maybe I want there to be a little bit of a nip in the air, which of course doesn't happen down here until November. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, we got. I tell you what, we're just in time for Q4. We have my daughter gets a significant part in the school play.
Oh.
Yeah, so that adds 4 days a week of activities and practice to the schedule. So it's going to be fun. I'm going to have to just force myself into more higher energy levels and just kind of prepare for increased activity. Hopefully that has a ripple effect,
right,
on my business. Right.
What's the play?
I was finally told the name, and I did not recognize it.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, and no major productions yet in 7th grade. So
that's understandable. Well, now before we dive in, of course, we will get to your guys' questions. We're going to get to questions a whole lot faster than we normally do. Chris, I read something and I was gobsmacked when I read it. I know, and I happen to be a lover of grocery store sushi. Now I still have, I do not have the intestinal fortitude to try gas station sushi, but if I go to Publix and it's Sushi Wednesday, I will occasionally partake. But I read that grocery store sushi is a much bigger business than I thought. Kroger, which is the largest grocery retailer in the country. Now, Walmart sells more groceries, but they're not just a grocery retailer. For anybody who wants to come at us in the chat, Kroger is the largest grocery retailer in the country. They sell 1 million sushi rolls per day at Kroger alone. And grocery store sushi, this does not include restaurants. Grocery store sushi has a gross merchandise volume of $2.8 billion per year.
that is insane. I just saw it. I just saw one yesterday, right? But you're scrolling through social media and there's those engagement bait posts.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, and the one that I see, not regularly, but I've seen it multiple times. They always pose the question, like, what is one food that people say they like, but they're just pretending because it's actually disgusting? And I have to stop myself from commenting sushi. Like, you guys are all faking it. That stuff is disgusting. We've come around to the point in civilization where we can cook our food. Like we're we're allowed to, and oftentimes I find I didn't eat a whole lot of raw hamburger and hot dogs out of the package as a kid, but I am of the opinion that actually cooking food improves the flavor. So I think this is all a ruse, and sushi. No one is brave enough to admit that sushi is gross.
That I am surprised, honestly. I would have expected you're such a refined person. I figured that goes along with having a refined palate. And I did not expect that from you. I will say that I think for the most part, you are right. I think that most food should be cooked. And sorry, I'm looking up something here. Meat, especially, like there is the Maillard reaction when it comes to like cooking a good steak or some hamburger. I think that absolutely makes the taste much better. For me, sushi is kind of a throwback to, and I don't know if anybody knows this, probably even told you, but my aunt was born and raised in Korea. And so when I was a kid, going over to Aunt Maria's house meant that we got bulgogi, and we also got some hand rolled sushi. And so like I learned to like it back then, and now it's like, oh yeah, I still enjoy it from now and again.
So you got to throw it back into your family history and some sentimentality to make me sound like an asshole. Geez, I just like I mean I get its significance, but I don't. I think it's just a trendy, And I'm fully against kale. Like you bring up kale, I will fight you on that too.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Nobody actually likes that. That stuff's not meant to be chewed. Like, have you ever had some and you're like, what is this spiky bush that I'm eating? No, it's not okay.
Careful. This is a kid's show. It's a family show. Yeah, it's all this trendy stuff can just F off with, like you just put a bunch of bullshit in wrapped in seaweed. Like really? Like isn't that what the wraps are?
Yeah, absolutely. My son, he eats dried seaweed right out of the package.
See, that's child abuse.
All right, let's get to some news and, of course, answer your guys' questions. And if you have questions, drop them. Jerry, we're actually going to be getting to your question here very, very soon. First piece of news, though, Amazon just today announced a new multi-channel fulfillment dashboard for all of you MFers out there. It is inside of Seller Central. I'm sorry, you're not MFers if you do multi-channel fulfillment. I take that back. But basically, you're going to get like Google Analytics for your multi-channel fulfillment operations if you do this. So if you're taking your FBA inventory, you're selling it on eBay or whatever you might actually be able to list on Walmart these days, or maybe you're cross-listing to your own Shopify store, whatever it is. Well, now you get to see all of the analytics, everything, including orders shipped, units shipped, your units per order ratio, the painful number, your actual multi-channel fulfillment fees, your average fee per order, your click to deliver times, and your on-time delivery percentage. It's all going to be in one spot. You're not going to have to go a bunch of different places for it. You're not going to have to download reports or anything like that. So you'll actually be able to see which products that you are multi-channel fulfilling are making money, which ones are, eating your profits due to fulfillment fees. You'll get to see everything like product weight, dimensions, etc. Like it's all right there. Amazon, they delivered on this. This was a good announcement. Now, if you want to find it, you can go to inventory and then analytics and then multi-channel fulfillment right inside Seller Central. And that's it. It's ready to go for everybody. No beta programs, nothing like that you've got to worry about. And honestly, I think this is great because I don't know if there was an easy way to find multi-channel fulfillment fees per SKU before today. So now you'll actually be able to know, here's what I need to price items at over on eBay, over on Walmart, wherever else you might be selling. That way you don't lose money. So really glad Amazon did this. I got to give them a pat on the back.
Yeah, it's cool to have all that information, available in a single dashboard. I do wonder, we've talked about it before, and we've even had guests on the podcast say it before. That we're not really sure if the average seller truly knows what their numbers are.
Oh yeah.
So I wonder if seeing this is going to change some opinions on the merits of MCF.
I would imagine. Yeah, I would imagine it will.
Yeah. And you could have recovered by just calling them MCFers.
That's true. You're absolutely right. My brain was not working as fast as my mouth today. All right. So, Jerry, first question. Did you guys get the DD+7 email from Amazon yesterday informing us that all payments on March 5th are going to be paid 7 days after delivery? So, I'm glad you brought this up because this was the second piece of news. For me, it starts on March 12th of 2026. And Amazon says that they're switching all sellers to their DD+7. Now, that's not designated driver. That is delivery date +7 reserve policy. All right. Now, this actually may be good for some sellers and not so great for some other sellers, myself included. This is not a win for me. Now, here's what's going to be happening. Okay. Money from merchant fulfilled shipments will now be held until 7 days after the delivery date, instead of them releasing the funds to you once you confirm the shipment. This is the way it is for some people right now. Okay. This is not going to be a huge change for some people. There are some people who are delivery date plus 14 days. For those people, this will actually be a positive change. I am in the camp where if I merchant fulfill, then if I print out a label, the money is available for me to take as a payment within 10 or 15 minutes of that label being printed. So for me, this is actually a bit of a setback when it comes to merchant fulfilling. And that is what this is. That is what this is limited to. This is not changing the way that you get paid for FBA. Okay. The way that you get paid for FBA is not changing. This is merchant fulfilled only, MFers only. So, for example, if you sell something on January 1st and it delivers on January 3rd, well, you will have the funds released to you on January 11th. All right. So in that case, it would be an 11-day cash cycle instead of what may be, 1 to 3 days that some sellers may be used to. Amazon's calling this standard practice, claiming that most sellers worldwide already have this delivery date +7 payout method. The fine print in that email did warn of some one-time cash flow impact and recommends reviewing your cash reserves. That's corporate speak for, I hope you've got money in the bank to handle your inventory float and you're not walking too close to the line. So for anybody who is Chad scaling or anything like that, and you're not properly taking care of your credit card due dates, like this could impact you. If you're really running some razor thin cash flow cycles. Now, I was thinking about this and I was wondering, why the heck would Amazon do this? Like everybody seems pretty content. Didn't see a whole lot of complaining about the way that MFers are playing the game right now on the timeline. However, while I was thinking about it, my guess is this may be a layer of protection against those who might be drop shipping and doing it poorly, rather than them trying to, slap us around as Amazon sellers. Amazon has been doing, obviously, everything that they can to make sure that customers are happy and they're getting legitimate goods. Okay. No counterfeit. They're getting, they're not getting stolen items. And the other area of dissatisfaction that runs rampant on Amazon is drop shipping. And people either getting fake items, people getting not getting their items at all because people would confirm the shipment and then it would actually never go out. And I would imagine this may also be a little bit of protection against fraud labels. Because if you use a fraud label and upload it to Amazon, well, it's never actually going to show delivered. So now they're going to kind of be able to handle that as well. So it is unfortunate for those of us who have immediate cash flow from our merchant fulfilled sales to have to use a delivery date +7. However, we have to pay for the bad actors on the platform.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. What exactly? Because I've never merchant fulfilled anything, right? So forgive any ignorance in these questions, but I was kind of going on the eBay model because I essentially confirm shipment when I print my label off. That's when it marks, and then eBay will actually tell you, like, okay, you've shipped the item. Make sure it gets a carrier scan in the next 24 hours, even with just 1 day handling. Is that similar to what? Is that all it takes for essentially for Amazon confirmation as well?
Yeah. You just have to, like, if you buy shipping through Amazon themselves, like, it uploads automatically. If you buy shipping outside of Amazon, then they end up verifying it, and it takes 15-30 minutes. But yeah, it's pretty much the exact same thing.
So you can essentially, it could be midnight and you could be working in your office and you could buy shipping through Amazon, and that essentially confirms your shipping, even though there's no possible way it could physically be shipped, right?
Yes. Yep.
However, under the old rules, that would mean that Amazon makes those funds available to you at or shortly after midnight, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, in this sense, that makes a lot of sense, right? And this is another one, like, and tell me this isn't typical of a lot of things that we talk about on the show, and a lot of these things that sellers bring up in social media circles. Like, this is another one of those, you don't like it, right? It's a change that potentially imposes, in this case, I think, a minor issue. I don't know if anybody would argue that, aside from Chad scalers, as you called them. And if they're Chad scalers, do they think about going DD +6-7, right? Little modest. See, I know that one. I'm not that old, Luke. No, but so they're avoiding the scenario where Amazon has to claw back money, right? I mean, that's, why wouldn't a business do that? Like, hey, let's change the policy so we don't inadvertently pay people, potentially fraudulent sellers, bad actors, and let's avoid all those issues trying to claw back that money. So it's one of those things where it's uncomfortable for some, but makes total sense in theory when you look at why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And here's I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
No, I just, my question is, and I don't know, I haven't read the room. I've seen this come up a lot. I'm not sure if people are upset about it, or whether they're just kind of talking about it. But and I'm not picking on anybody. There's no malice behind this question. This is an honest question. Did the availability of the funds immediately versus changing now to a potentially, 7, but probably closer to a 10 or 11 day cycle. Was it nice to get the money right away, or was it actually, in a business sense, useful to you? Are you actually losing anything?
In the past, I have used this to my advantage. Um, in the past 5 years, I have not. But 7, 8 years ago, I have used this to my advantage where I would run up. Actually, I remember one Q4, I ran up probably a $30,000 American Express bill within about a week's time, and we were merchant fulfilling everything. And I'd run out of money on the credit card, and I would pay it every single day that I could withdraw money from Amazon so that I could go and buy more. Um, that is where it will hurt. Fortunately, they're not doing this during Q4. So anybody who is going to run their business like that this Q4, it's not a big deal. But starting next year, you're going to need to adjust to having a little bit of a longer cash cycle. Yeah, I'm not trying to brag or anything. Fortunately, now I'm in a different position. Like, we could handle a 10-day cycle. It won't be a big deal, But there was a time when I definitely used it to my advantage.
Okay. I mean, essentially, once it's in place, though, as long as you can absorb the moment you go from 1 to 3 days to 10 or 11 days, basically the impact's over at that point. You're just kind of running, and that just kind of becomes how it is. And you still, right? I mean, your cash flow should regulate from that point, right?
It should. Yeah. Really, unless someone's doing something crazy, it should regulate over the course of a couple of weeks, I would imagine.
Okay.
So now, and there are some ways to speed things up. Like, number one, Amazon said very specifically, you should probably be buying shipping through Amazon. Now, it doesn't mean it has to be in Seller Central. It could also be through Vico, because what will happen then is Amazon will use the actual delivery date. If you buy shipping outside of Amazon and for some reason it doesn't update appropriately, for example, every now and again, I will send something on eBay through USPS, and it'll go to my local USPS, and they are like, "No, we're just not going to scan this one." But it eventually gets to where it's going. Like, that could cause some longer delays. Amazon says that should not happen if you buy shipping through them, because what they'll do is they'll use the estimated delivery date +7 rather than the latest delivery date +7, which is what will happen if you buy shipping outside of Amazon.
Yeah.
And I saw somebody ask, why would anybody buy shipping outside of Amazon? They might think that they get a better rate, or have, some sort of deal. They may be trying to get, the 5X points on American Express, or 4X, or whatever it is, not knowing that they can buy through Vico and get the same thing. So there's a lot of reasons. Like, honestly, for me, I think the extra points on shipping through American Express is a huge deal. You could really run up some numbers there. I There's someone I know who used to sell quite a bit of goods on eBay, and their shipping bill every single month was upwards of $250,000. Now, multiply that by 4x points on your American Express card. You've got 1 million Amex points per month, 12 million per year. I would imagine that they're still traveling on those American Express points.
Yeah, really. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. That's Shannon, by the way. Shannon,
Oh, yeah?
Jean. Yeah, that's who I saw post that they were doing $250,000 a month in shipping.
Wow.
All right, let's answer a couple more questions. And of course, if you guys have questions, drop them. We've got one more piece of news we'll share, but we're trying to get to your questions a little bit faster, and that seemed to be working out well so far. So, M9 gang, Amazon FBA will not put the UPC label. So I have to read into this a little bit because I'm not sure there's full context here, but no. UPC labels come from the manufacturers. They do not come from Amazon. Now, if you mean FNSKU labels, Amazon will do that, but it is going away. And I don't remember what date that's going away, but it's very soon. So very soon, Amazon will not FNSKU your products any longer. No. And Deal Hunter, yes. Yeah, I did say Vico does have some cash back. It is not nearly as sexy as they make it sound on their sales page because they say up to 5%. It's probably closer to 0.5% or 1% in cash back that you can use on future shipping costs, which every penny counts. I'm not knocking it. But I think the points are actually worth more because if you're doing a pretty good job, you could get American Express points to be worth about a penny and a half, maybe 2 cents per point if you're like really working hard.
Yeah, there's one of the Chase Inks has 5x on shipping too, I think.
Is that the brand new Reserve?
I thought it was one of the inks. I thought are there 2 or 3 different inks? One of them has 5x in a bunch of different categories, and then the other one is 1.5% across the board.
That's a good question. I got a brand new ink right in my hands. I'll have to look through it and see if that's the one. Oh, Corey, this is fantastic, man. Only 35. I'm going to take the good and it outweighs the bad in this one statement here. All right. So only 35,000 left to 1 million in lifetime sales. That's huge, man. I would imagine you're going to be knocking that over very, very soon. You're still nuts for not using a repricer. Like you're absolutely, it's insane that you're not using a repricer, man. I need to get you on Seller Snap. Like, I'll tell you what, Corey, do me a favor. And yeah, I'm going to have you use my affiliate link, get a 14-day free trial with Seller Snap. Have them walk you through how to properly set it up. And then if the 14-day trial doesn't work out for you and you're like, no, it's much better if I do this myself. I'll give you $100 because you are leaving. One, I think you're leaving money on the table. Honestly, like repricers do reprice up. I've actually got proof of it. One of the products went from $39 to $52 just recently. But two, you're also losing velocity, man. Honestly, you could probably get to that 1 million in sales in half the time due to the increased velocity.
You think? Yeah. What do you think? What could it possibly be? Do you think he's like secretly like pattern? You know, do you think this is like an alias and he's got like Rosenberg in his back pocket, just pushing everybody else off, and he's like, I'm bulletproof, man. It doesn't matter.
It's a good question. I don't know. That or he's just a glutton for punishment.
Yeah, that's probably more likely.
He's a Tigers fan.
True.
All right, let's see here. What else do we got? Hey, Shannon, what is going on? Glad to see you here. All right, Deal Hunter, is it too late to cancel the return liquidation according to Amazon's announcements from last week. What was their announcement last week? Do you happen to remember?
They're changing. They were changing. Is that the change in the automation or something? Like everything, they were setting us all to like automatically liquidate or something, and we had to override it manually if we wanted stuff to continue to be shipped home.
That could be it. No, you should be able to change that at any time. Yeah, you should be able to change that at any time. So, yeah, I would go in there and get that done though. This automate. If FNSKU labels are going away, are they going to be replaced with transparency codes? No. Those are completely different. I did not say that FNSKU labels are going away. I said that Amazon will no longer label your products. Okay. You will be required to put FNSKUs on your own items, or they will need to be commingled. Now, Amazon has said that they're moving away from like everyone's inventory going into just one basket. And they said they're going to be doing things a little bit differently. But again, I'm not putting the health of my business in Amazon's hands. Because if someone who comes to work and, just pops one or two little gummies before they clock in, decides to pick from the wrong basket and it happens to be counterfeit, and then that comes back on me and I don't have an FNSKU label, well, now I'm out of luck because I've got the onus to prove it is on me. And I don't have any way to prove that to them. So now transparency codes are completely different. Transparency codes are something that can be purchased by a brand or a brand owner and placed on the inventory to try and keep counterfeits out of the supply chain. That's all that is. So I know this isn't a question, JP, but you're not having any luck with your repricer, and you don't need to say who your repricer is, but there's probably some disconnect. If you're using a repricer worth its salt, I would highly suggest getting on a call with their customer success team and figure out where the disconnect is, because something just doesn't seem right. Unless there's more to the story, I don't know. But you should absolutely be getting one. It should be repricing, and there should be a history of what's being repriced and when. So I would check on that with them.
Now, there is a scenario, or multiple scenarios, but not every item that we sell is going to be as repricer friendly, right? I mean, they're simply like, if you have something priced and you're in the price tanks, right, and the buy box is now below your min, the repricer can't do anything for you, right? Like that's until you lower your min, that like the repricer just kind of massaging it, backing up, up and down between your min and max. If the buy box is below the min, is irrelevant. In that case, yeah, it would be you lowering the min yourself, and then if it starts selling, that could give the appearance of your manual repricing creating the sale as opposed to the repricer. But that's not the repricer's fault, because given the range that you let it play within, it had no ammo.
Yeah.
So, and then there's other times where margins are just so slim. And sometimes because I have or like if there's a high pricing error, and Amazon's kind of forcing your top end down, forcing your max down, sometimes there's only a little bit of range, and you have to assume that the effectiveness of a repricer, if it's only given a thin little corridor to bounce between, probably isn't going to be too effective. So, there are buy cost and buy box restraints that can limit the effectiveness of a repricer.
Absolutely. And JP, I see you're with Aura. Yeah, hop on the phone with Finn. Reach out, get on the horn with Finn and be like, hey, listen, this is what I'm looking to do, and have them walk you down what you need to do. And have them take a look at your repricing it. Like they know what they're looking at. And they're good at it. So they should be able to help you figure out where there might be a disconnect. All right, Shannon, can you please repeat the MCF info really briefly? Yeah. Amazon just released a multi-channel fulfillment dashboard. So you get to see all the analytics behind your MCF, your fees, your, all that kinds of stuff. So that if you are selling on eBay, Walmart, etc., then you'll be able to see what those fees cost you when you are multi-channel fulfilling items. Excuse me. All right, JP. I'd like to start taking advantage of dangerous goods that I was approved for a few months ago. I've never used it because I have no idea where to start. Any advice? Yeah, don't overthink it. Number one, it is not that hard. Okay, so number one of the things that you need to know is, how do I ship dangerous goods or hazmat or whatever you want to call it into Amazon? Well, one, if it's a battery item, you need to know whether that's actually even something that is considered dangerous goods. There's this set of batteries where you can ship them into regular fulfillment centers, even though it's got like some batteries in it. So, and Amazon will tell you that. And then there are going to be other things that you might sell, like hairsprays or aerosols or colognes, perfumes, those kinds of flammables. Those are mostly like 99% of what you're going to sell on Amazon is going to be considered limited quantity, which means it needs that little triangle with half of it shaded in, stuck to the side of it. And that's literally all you've got to do. You buy shipping outside of Amazon, USPS or UPS, ship it into an approved dangerous goods warehouse. I like to add in about $2 for inbound shipping per unit on top of any prep or fees that you're paying for items now, to make sure to cover the total inbound cost. And then that's it. There's not really a whole lot more to it. All right, let's talk one more piece of news, and then we'll finish up your guys' questions. Meltables are changing one more time. So back in August, Chris and I talked about how Amazon announced they would start filling customer orders for meltable inventory on October 13th, and that you could ship in items to FBA warehouses starting September 22. Now, there was a little glitch, and I think the shipments actually started on September 23rd. However, Amazon decided to make another change. Just the other day, they said that they're actually going to start fulfilling orders to customers starting on October 6th. So I don't know why they're doing this, or what kind of data that they have to show that it's okay to make this change. But this is a good thing. It means meltables can get to customers faster. You can start taking advantage of that kind of thing faster if you can get the items into Amazon without them melting. Now, just because I always hear it asked, well, what is considered meltable? Well, meltable is any heat-sensitive product that might melt during what Amazon calls prolonged exposure to temperatures of 155 degrees Fahrenheit. That, of course, includes chocolate, gummies, and some jelly and wax-based products. So, honestly, you got to use some common sense here, okay? And use something like Perplexity or Google and figure out what the melting point of items is before you send it in. Chocolate, like I'm in Florida. So chocolate is, of course, something I'm not going to be able to send in right now. I cannot send in like a beeswax candle, but if there is enough paraffin wax in a candle, then I should be able to ship that from here without an issue. Because I expect, if it gets to 89 or 90 degrees, well, the back of a UPS truck is probably going to be much, much hotter. So yeah, that's the only change.
Yeah, I mean, you have to assume it's sales based. I mean, there's certainly nothing that's going to improve the customer experience outside of the simple fact that they're going to get it earlier. And I mean, they must think that there's a portion of their customer base that won't buy certain things, certain meltable items from Amazon because they're just not sure about the window, thinking like, okay, if I can't get it prime, if I can't get this Halloween candy prime shipped yet, I don't want to run the risk of not having it by the time the kids start knocking on the door, trick or treat,
Exactly.
So, but it's certainly not going to improve customer service.
No, I would imagine the returns are going to be a little heavier than normal. All right, this automate. How do you make sure your actual cost of goods is accepted instead of returning below sourcing cost for lost FBA items because claims are getting rejected? You just have to fight on those. Now, I'll tell you what you probably should be doing. I've got a code or a link somewhere, and I can send it to you, or you can message me and I'll send it to you, but you should probably just be using a service to do this on your behalf, because you should try to get back as much as you can from Amazon, and it really is just fighting them over and over and over again to give you your actual cost when they lose items. But I'm not sure that it is worth your time to spend hours and hours on this. But you could use a service like TrueOps, and they'll charge you 10% of what they get back. So, for example, let's say that, Amazon's like, hey, we're going to give you $20 back, even though you paid $50. Well, if they get you back that additional $30, then they're going to take $3. Okay. You might fight for 5 hours over that $30, and then your hourly rate is $5. Right? It sounds close. $6. Or you could let them fight over it for the $3 that they're going to keep. Okay. And if you use a service like TrueUps, like I've got a link, the first $1,000 in reimbursements, no commission to them, absolutely free. And then you're locked in for 10% for life. That's probably the smartest way to go about it. Now, you're going to have to give TrueOps things like receipts or invoices, stuff like that, but your time is more valuable than trying to fight this. Let's see here. This automate. I was shipping items in an FBA shipment, and some of the items were forced in a different packing group, basically splitting the shipment into 2 different packing groups. Is there a way to override? Unfortunately, this is an area where I'm not really going to be very helpful. I am not a shipment wizard because everything goes through a prep center for me. So I'm not 100% sure what would have caused this. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I appreciate the pluck here, my friend. But unfortunately, we don't stake other people's businesses. Now, saying that, I'm not making fun of you or anything like that. Okay. But here is what I would suggest. And I see in your other thing here that you're in Pakistan. I don't know the economic situation in Pakistan at the moment, but I would imagine that there are ways to make money outside of just selling on Amazon. Like there's got to be some ways to flip some things locally, to find some things that other people don't want to, do some services for people where you could raise money to start an Amazon business if you so choose. Um, I would I would suggest that you start doing some of those things that you can do with no money and turn into some money, and then parlay that into selling on Amazon if you so choose. That will be a much faster way to get where you're going for.
Yeah, that's good advice because really um, it's been a while since I talked about it, but I started this as kind of a hobby, and I tried to start with stuff I had around the house, and some people do that out of necessity, and I figured it was a good way to try because obviously I'm not sticking my neck out if I'm just selling stuff around the house, and I got my start selling an old cell phone, and we had just replaced it, wasn't worth trading in based on what they were going to offer, but I got $90 for the cell phone, sold it on Facebook Marketplace, pulled out of a drawer, and took that $90 and went to Goodwill, and started buying name brand stuff for $1 or whatever, and listed those on eBay, and trying to see. I was following along this challenge that was going on in a blog that I read, but that's not country specific.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a lot of sellers have started with something along those lines. So
Yeah. Soy wax burns longer and with less soot. That's interesting. Thanks, Luke. JP, are those reimbursements only for lost merch or also returns? True Ops will do reimbursements for a ton of different things. Yeah, I'd have to go check and see all the things that they handle, but they handle a bunch. Shannon, here we go. I was approved for Hazmat a long time ago. How do I confirm I still am? So go into Seller Central, go up to the search bar, type in dangerous goods, and then choose. You'll get that little pop up to the right hand side with all the results. You're going to want to choose the option FBA Dangerous Goods Program. Click into that. And then you're going to see something that'll say check if your product is hazardous. And you can click into that, and that will tell you whether or not you are approved in the dangerous goods program. It won't be there if you're not. It'll say apply for the dangerous goods program rather than check if your item is dangerous goods.
would your aerosol and flammable capacity limits drop to 0 as well?
I would imagine, yes. That would be another easy way to look. Yeah. Chris's, what is typically your single best sales day of the year? I don't know. I don't know that I keep track that granularly. Honestly, it's not usually inside of what most people consider Q4. It's probably actually in January.
Yeah, you know what? My best sales day, I think has no, there's no correlation to the calendar. My best sales day typically ends up being that item that I've just moved into the buy box, and on a fast moving item, and it's my turn, and I had a significant quantity, and I am fully stocked. And I just sell out on a fast moving item, and it just, that day, that orange bar that day just explodes. you know, and
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of indifferent to what part of the year it is.
Yeah. So, Corey, I see you say yours is always 5 to 6 days before Christmas. Honestly, I think Chris and I are playing a different game than you are. Um, you know, you're doing a lot of merchant fulfilled. I would imagine you're probably going pretty deep on a lot of products. Um, we really practice what we preach. You know, we're an inch deep and a mile wide. Like I will leave money on the table, uh, and go wider than I will necessarily go deep, just to make sure that if I lose something, I'm not going to be stuck holding the bag. You know, we've seen that happen way too many times in the past year. You know, we've seen Lego, we've seen Nike, you know, we've seen Adidas, all these things. I'm not going to allow that to happen to me. You know, I wasn't necessarily expecting the Nike or Adidas deal. Uh but now granted, I was gated in Nike before they did the deal, but like none of those affected me. Uh and so that's why my sales, and I also just like, we never stop shipping. Like some people are like, oh well, I'm done shipping into FBA, on December 5th. Now every week shipments go out. And because Q4 does not end 5 days or 4 days before Christmas. Q4 really ends around the middle to the tail end of January, because you've got gift card season. And I'm all about holding on just a little bit longer and taking higher prices, because people are, uh, they're not playing with real money. You know, everyone else sells out, and we'll see prices start to get a little lower, maybe on the 26th. And then everyone sells out of that tail end of that inventory that they had. And then prices shoot right back up. And I'll be there to take all the gift card money.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't really source for Q4. If you analyze my process uh, over the course of the year, you won't see too many differences. Um, and that's kind of like Chris said, that's kind of a result of going wide. Um, and I'm sourcing all the time already. I'm not sure that I have a higher gear to kick it into for Q4. Like I very intentionally want my store to have good sales months all the way around. So I don't do anything special for Q4 necessarily. Maybe a couple things here and there. I'll take advantage of an opportunity if I hear it. But I'm not. I don't do any merchant fulfilled. So I know that there are certain sellers that obviously would have significant differences in their process going into Q4, but not me. And if you say your best sales day is 5 to 6 days before Christmas, you are clearly sourcing things that husbands buy for their wives, because that is the beginning of the husband Christmas shopping season.
Right.
So,
And
and Shannon nails it right here, right? Best sales day of the year. God's aligned, the tectonic plates are all in line. All of your inventory hits the fulfillment center, comes out of FC transfer. Yeah. And who knows what day that is. So, but
right.
that's exactly it. Me too, Shannon.
And Corey, since we're getting this granular, let me. I'm about to make you 5% more profit in December this year. Okay, if you will do this, your best sales day, if it's normally 5 to 6 days before Christmas, this year it should not be. The reason I say that is Christmas this year is on Thursday. Okay. A lot of times, when it's on a Tuesday or a Monday, you don't really get that weekend before where you can take advantage of those real last minute shoppers. But with Christmas being on a Thursday, that means that the Postal Service and UPS and FedEx, they're all going to be delivering through Wednesday evening. okay, through Christmas Eve. And with Amazon, with 90% of their stuff, and you said you're 100% FBA, with 90% of their stuff being 1-day delivery, you should be able to hold your prices a little bit higher all the way through Tuesday before Christmas, for those items that are specifically Christmas giftable type items that you may have in your inventory, and get the most bang for your buck. So I would bet that just by being a little bit more careful this year, you should have a better sales day 2 days before Christmas and make more money.
Man, Corey's making out on the show this week. Man, I bet he's
Right?
glad he showed up.
All right. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns that we can help you guys with? Sorry, JP, I see you here. Amazon took off the buy box, although the price of the product is below the price of the manufacturer. The price that they request is $10 below. Is there a way to get the buy box back showing the manufacturer's sale price? I need to ask a question to answer your question. And my question is, how much has the suppression of the buy box reduced sales velocity? So, and I'll explain while I wait for you to answer. The reason I ask this is, if it has not reduced sales velocity that much, then I probably would not worry about it. Okay. I do expect, okay, and you say considerable. I do expect the suppression of buy boxes to change velocity. If it's not a considerable amount, then I'm not going to even mess with it at all. If it is a considerable amount, then sure, you may want to try. Now, the way to fight this is going to be gathering evidence. You're going to want to, because what Amazon has done is they have scraped some website showing a lower price. And it may not be the manufacturer. It could be, it's probably not AliExpress. It's not eBay or Alibaba, but there could be a site on page 2, 3, 4 of Google that is not a legitimate site that has this priced for significantly lower. And that's probably exactly what this is. Okay. And so Amazon wants to be the low price leader. That's probably why they're doing this. Now, you can fight back. You can go and gather evidence of what the manufacturer suggested retail price is, what the price is at multiple retail outlets. And you could even take screenshots of where the buy box has been on Keepa, and you could show all of that by opening up a case. However, I don't expect you to get very far. I don't expect Amazon to take reason into account. Might they? Maybe. You could try to fight it. I just would not go into it being like, I know that I can beat them back on this and get that buy box reinstated. All right. This automate. Can we report customers who reported an item counterfeit just because he thought it's expensive? Mentioned it to us in the comments. Again, I think you're like, can you? Yeah, you could probably open up a case with Amazon and report that customer, but like, it's probably not going to do anything. So like, will it feel good? Sure. But is it actually going to keep that customer from being able to buy from you or anybody else in the future? No. And so if it's an exercise in futility, I tend not to go down that path. And I suggest that for other people too, because like, you can make more money. You can, you might be able to sell that product again if they've returned it. But you're not going to be able to get your time back that you're going to spend, chasing down some customer who irritated you.
So you're saying that passive aggressive reply that I made to my eBay feedback was futile, because I sure do feel better. I think it was pretty sharp, to be honest
I
with
think there's a difference in something being an exercise in futility and something being cathartic. And if it was cathartic, then it was not necessarily an exercise in futility.
you. Okay. All right. Because I got, man, he I had a pet supplements, right, that I had to call back. I had a whole bunch of them, right, and they came back short dated, and you know, so I threw them on eBay, and I knew I wasn't going to get through everything, but I was like, let me just try to peel off 20-30 bucks a pop as many times as I can, you know, and so they expired at the end of the month, and I didn't take the listing down. You know, I was just like, there's no way these sell, you know, and so I had somebody messaged me and asked what the expiration date was. So I said, I apologize. I didn't take the listing down. These have expired. And so the guy ended up putting an offer in like the next day, but didn't reply to my message. So I'm like, I sent a message to the guy, and I said, you did receive my message, right? We're on the same page that these are expired. And so I actually I threw a second container. I put a whole second unit in for him with a posted note, be like, hey, you know, thank you. You know, here's an extra one if you can use it. Yeah, just to try to cover my bases, right? But eBay, being you know, the fan of kinetic energy, I end up this guy buys like 6 of them from me, right? Before I can, while I'm still processing this order, and I'm like, I can't sell 6 to this guy, you know? So I was like, so I sent him a nice message. I said, hey, I said, these have now expired. I apologize. I didn't take the listing down. You know, per TOS, we're not allowed to sell expired items on eBay, which is actually a food policy. I'm not sure if that applies or not. But I said, you know, I said, I'm very sorry for any inconvenience this caused, right? Thought that was the end of it. He replied back. He's like, thanks. He kind of like hinted, he's like, you know, I'm not sure all the other sellers know that too, because I bought this, you know, expired before. And it's like, yeah. But I figured that was the end of it. He gives me neutral feedback and says, seller refunded my money, said that the product was expired, says that he's not allowed to sell expired products. And then in parentheses goes, I don't know if that's true or whether he found somebody else willing to pay more money, or wish he would have known this before I purchased or something like that.
Come
I'm
on.
just like, dude, and so I've been stewing on that. That's what I've been, that was my stewing on of the day. You know, that's what I was seething over. So I just posted, I said, I refunded your money. I took the listing down, and I discarded the expired product out of an abundance of caution for animal safety. I said, I'm sorry you assumed the worst of me and decided to post that publicly, even though you got all of your money back.
What an idiot.
Just a polite little.
Right? Do me a favor. Send me their eBay username, because I've got a feeling that they may have purchased from me. I've got a feeling that this may be the same item or a very similar item. All right. Couple more questions here. So, Corey, after a couple failed submissions, Amazon decided to send me a surprise email and take an IP complaint off my account. Has that ever happened to you guys? I can't say that it has. Mine have always come off after a submission, not after they've told me, you know, no. But that's awesome. And a product can, like, you need to go buy some. You need to go buy some lottery tickets.
Now I have had stuff drop off on their own prior to submission.
Yes.
I just had that happen. So I mean, it's possible that you know, if they kind of send it out to a bunch of different sellers, you know, maybe somebody, because I don't remember what it was. It was one of those stupid ones where the AI says, you know, this topical lotion is being marketed as a cure for cancer or something like that, you know, and it's like, please show us the label and all that. And it's like, and I just I wasn't even going to address it for a while, you know. I was just kind of let it sit and just dangle for a bit. And then just disappeared in a few days before I did anything. So
nice.
I assume it went out to multiple sellers and somebody took care of it. And
I would imagine. Yeah. All right, guys. I think that's it for today. Happy Q4. I hope everyone absolutely crushes it. We're going to be here every Wednesday and Sunday. We'll be back this Sunday to do this all over again for you guys. So if you have questions, need help in Q4, need help with your Amazon, account, whatever it is, come back and see us again. It's 5:30 Wednesdays and Sundays. And until Sunday, we'll see you guys.